Internships in the US. So one of the most difficult thing was to actually acquire the visa. So that was not an easy task, and that took a hell lot of a time. So both of us worked with this LIGO lab team. So that was basically on gravitational wave detection. Challenging things I would say that I had to face when I started this internship.
To me, it was like I had previously never done something related to gravitational physics. So to me, this gravitational wave physics internship was completely new to me. So I had to learn a bunch of all new stuff from the beginning, from the scratch. So the initial part of the internship was a bit tough for me. So because I had to learn the theory as well as the experiment, some of the experimental part. And also, even though my project was related to gravitational physics, most of the stuff was related to large language models and building things like that.
Fans of the show, The Big Bang Theory, I think you must have also watched that. So the main student focus in that show is the California Institute of Technology, Caltech. So to actually be there in that place, which like I was introduced to when I used to watch that show, it was, I think whoever watched that show has this dream of being there. So actually getting to that place in person and actually seeing those things was actually a very good, rewarding experience in itself. I was able to work with the lead experimentalist of the LIGO lab, Professor Rana Adhikari, as a senior scientist in LIGO lab, Dr. Koji Arai.
So it's the same. So being at MIT itself was a very rewarding experience because I always dreamed of at least visiting MIT once. So the other important thing was I was able to sit in the same room and talk with Professor Rainer West. He's the 2017 Nobel laureate. He won the Nobel Prize for this gravitational wave discovery. So I have read about him. I have watched a lot of YouTube videos about him, but for the first time I was able to talk with him. I was sit in the same room with him and discuss GW with him. So that was a really rewarding experience. So to meet people like Professor Rainer West or Professor Alan Gould, so meeting these people and being at MIT, so that was a really great experience to me. So I think that was one of the most rewarding.
Say that I am from IISER, people really start to understand for all IISERs. They know about IISER, quite popular. So just like how people understand when they hear about I8. So that was a very rewarding experience to know that we are becoming a brand and that we are being known to the world as a very prestigious institute. So that was a really good thing. And projects here, we talk with professors, we work with professors, we do reading projects, we interact with them a lot. We have many other, many society activities, physics society, chemistry society, and whatnot. We have all those exposure, and that actually tunes a wire in our brain to actually solve problems and to understand problems and give opinions and stuff like that. So all these things really helped me, and I am a part of this particular IISER family that I am able to do that. I'm not sure if I was in any other college, I'm not sure if I would be able to do that. Maybe if I'm good enough, then yes. But for me, being in this place and studying in this place has made a very big difference in the way I think and the way I communicate with people, and that has really helped me to be a good part of that particular internship that I was a part in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I am excited. Today we have two of our amazing seniors with us, Adam, who did his internship at MIT, and Jacob, who interned at Caltech. They all be sharing their unique experiences with us today. Before we dive into the questions, let's have them to give a brief introduction about themselves. Adam, let's start with you.
Okay, my name is Zacharia Anil. I'm a fifth year student. Currently, I'm working with Dr. Shabnam. So my interest basically lies in astrophysics and gravitational wave physics.
Hello, so I'm Jacob Charisa. I'm also fifth year BSMS Physics major, the same batch as Adam. And currently I'm working with Dr. Tanamai Mondal on Beyond the Standard Model particle physics phenomenology. But I'm also interested in gravitational wave instrumentation, which is why I did those internships for the 2 years.
Okay. So, Bhaiya, we have our first question. What was the most challenging aspect of your internship?
So I would say that because last time both of us did our internships in the US, so one of the most difficult thing was to actually acquire the visa. So that was not an easy task, and that took a hell lot of a time. So that was one major challenge, but As coming to the internship, I would say that just to introduce what we did, both of us worked with this LIGO lab team. So that was basically on gravitational wave detection. So all the courses that I took here was mostly aligned mostly to the theoretical side of things. So I took particle physics and quantum field theory one and things which aligned me to do something in beyond the standard model of physics and phenomenology. So when I did an internship there, I actually had to go through a lot of topics which I did not learn here. For example, quantum optics or nonlinear optics. So I had to spend a good amount of time, especially in my first phase of the internship, to actually get a good idea of what I would be working on. I had some laboratory experience, but to actually understand the theoretical side of things, I had to do that. So that was one of the challenging things I would say that I had to face when I started this internship.
To me, it was like I had previously never done something related to gravitational physics. So to me, this gravitational wave physics internship was completely new to me. So I had to learn a bunch of all new stuff from the beginning, from the scratch. So the initial part of the internship was a bit tough for me. So because I had to learn the theory as well as the experiment, some of the experimental part. And also, even though my project was related to gravitational physics, most of the stuff was related to large language models and building things like that. So I had to learn some of this, what all this, how to build a large language model and how to work with this kind of large language models and stuff like that. So that was a bit challenging for me. So, but initially we had a lot of help. People were ready to help with us. So that was it.
Now we have a second question. What was the most rewarding experience during your internship?
Yeah, so I would say that both of us are very big fans of the show, The Big Bang Theory. I think you must have also watched that. So the main student focus in that show is the California Institute of Technology, Caltech. So to actually be there in that place, which I was introduced to when I used to watch that show, and it was, I think, who have watched that show has this dream of being there. So actually getting to that place in person and actually seeing those things was actually a very good rewarding experience in itself, even though it was just for a matter of months. To actually be there, it was a very good thing. And talking about the internships, I was able to work with the lead experimentalist of the LIGO lab, Professor Rana Adhigari, and also with a senior scientist in LIGO lab, Dr. Koji Arai. So being able to work with them in person, understanding the way that they are thinking and involving to discuss day-to-day social stuff with all the other students who come to these internships from different parts of the world. So everything of such things was really amazing for me.
To me also, it's the same. So being at MIT itself was a very rewarding experience because I always dreamed of at least visiting MIT once. So the other important thing was I was able to sit in the same room and talk with Professor Rainer West. He's the 2017 Nobel laureate. He won the Nobel Prize for this gravitational wave discovery. So I have read about him. I have watched a lot of YouTube videos about him, but for the first time, I was able to talk with him. I was sit in the same room with him and discuss GW with him. So that was a really rewarding experience. So to meet people like Professor Rainer West or Professor Alan Guth, so meeting these people and being at MIT, so that was a really great experience to me. So I think that was the one of the most rewarding part for me.
Great, that's great. Now we have a third question. How did your IISER TVM education prepare for this internship?
So one really good thing which I understood when I was there was that when I say that I am from IISER, people really start to understand. So that was a really good thing to hear. So when I say that I am from this particular institute, I think it goes for not just IISER TVM but for all IISERs. They know about IISERs, so it is quite popular. So just like how people understand when they hear about IITs or any other top institutes, we are evolving and getting there. So that's a good thing for all the students who are currently here at IISER. So that was a very rewarding experience to know that we are becoming a brand and that we are being known to the world as a very prestigious institute. So that was a really good thing. And the other thing which I would like to say about IISER TVM education is that even from our starting years, we are exposed to the environment of research. So that is exactly what they are also looking for. So we take courses in which the curriculum is like very thoroughly made, and which is made in such a way that they push the students towards research.
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing, and we are exposed to this environment of research, and it is not the first time that we are doing an internships or anything of that sort. We do many projects here. We talk with professors, we work with professors, we do reading projects, we interact with them a lot. We have many other, many society activities, physics society, chemistry society, and whatnot. We have all those exposure, and that actually tunes a wire in our brain to actually solve problems and to understand problems and give opinions and stuff like that. So all these things really help me, and I think it is because that I am a part of this particular IISER family that I am able to do that. I'm not sure if I was in any other college, I'm not sure if I would be able to do that. Maybe if I'm good enough, then yes. But for me, being in this place and studying in this place has made a very big difference in the way I think and the way I communicate with people, and that has really helped me to be a good part of that particular internship that I was a part in.
Question: can you share a day in the life of an intern at MIT and Caltech?
Okay, so basically, I live like just 20 minutes away from MIT, so I have to like bicycle every day to MIT. But the cool thing about it is, even though we both are in the same country, there is a 3 hour difference. So by the time he wakes up, I might be having lunch. So that was very interesting to me as an Indian, because in our country there is one single time zone, but there it's 3 different time zones. So that was a cool factor for me. So basically, I reach my lab at around 9 a.m. Almost every day. So I have to bicycle. I take the public bicycle. It's called Blue Bikes. It's a 20-minute ride from where I live to my lab. My lab is actually not on the main campus of MIT. It's in a different camp place. So I reach there around 9, and I usually grab my breakfast there. I have my breakfast there, and most of my work is just computational work. So I spend a majority of my time looking at the laptop and doing stuff. So I have a cabin there. So basically, till lunch, I do some of my works related to LLM or the simulation work that I have. So till lunch, I do that. After around 1 p.m. or 1:30, I go for lunch. Usually, I make my own lunch. So I bring my own lunch that for the day. So after that, by 2 or 2:30, again, most of the day, I go back to my computer work. But some days I have lab work, so I go to the lab with my mentor. The lab is in an underground place in the same building itself. So by 6, 7, usually I leave. But sometimes if there is some work or some discussion, we stay till late by 8 to 9. And me and my mentor, we usually go for dinner together. We go to the nearest restaurant, grab dinner, and basically that's it. Then I again bicycle back to my home, so I have to start preparing for my lunch or dinner, whatever it is. So that's basically my day.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so for me as well, it's kind of the same thing. It's not very different. So I reach the institute. I try to reach the institute by around 9:30 or 10. So in my case, it was around 30 minutes away from my home. So I had to walk there, and I didn't actually want to buy a bicycle for just 2, 3 months, right? So I decided to take that 1 hour walk to and fro to the institute and back to home. So that's what I did, and when I reached there, I just initially planned on what all I should do for the day. So initially, I think I mostly started with reading stuff, some new papers or some Google searches which I had to do to understand some concepts and things like that. So that was the first thing I usually did, and then after that, I used to hit the labs. So as I said, the project that I did was of experimental nature, because of which I had to go to the lab. So for the initial part of my project, I really had to go to the thing called the electronic shop. So that's where all my instruments that I had to use were, and where I usually worked for most part of my internship, especially in the initial phase. So I went there, and then I had lunch after that. After hitting the lab for some time, then the lunch I had with the other this LIGO interns. So that was also a very nice experience to actually talk to them and discuss their projects and whatever is happening with them and things like that.
Yeah.
And after lunch again, I'll go to the labs. So in the second part of my internship, it was mostly to work in the actual optical quantum interferometry lab. So that was also an amazing experience to actually work with the optics, all the optical elements and things like that. So that was also really nice. And so mostly my work usually gets finished by around 5. So after that, in most days, in very good days, I would have some data to analyze, and I would do some curve fitting, something in Python, or something that I can do with the data. And we also had to write this thing called e-log, where we basically put whatever we did so that our mentors or anyone else can see what we are doing, so that we can, and it's also for a good thing for our reference as well, so that we can continue on that on the next day. So writing this e-log posts and things like that. And usually in the night, before going home, I usually write my, if there is anything to write on my reports. So for my program, I had to submit like 3-4 reports to actually complete my internship. So I spent some time on writing those and reading for that and things like that. And by around 8 or 8:30, I usually get back home. So that was my day.
Wow. Great. Now we have a next question. Can you describe a specific research project you worked on?
I think Jacob, is our both of our projects was kind of similar. I think Jacob will explain both in a brief way, in an easy way. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm not getting into very minute details of what we did and whatever we were doing for the internship. So actually, we have given a talk, I think 2 months, a month before.
Yeah.
So in that, we kind of tried to explain the motivation and what all type of projects that we did. But I'm not getting into the details, but just to give a brief idea of the nature of the project. So as I said before, both of us worked for the LIGO labs. It is the Laser Interferometric Gravitational Wave Observatory. And so it's a very big $1 billion instrument which is built to detect gravitational waves. And there are a lot of aspect of new research which can be based on that. And both of our research was mostly on the experimental side of things to improve the detectors for the coming run and all of that. So there are the one of the main problems that they face when they try to detect these things called gravitational waves is that there are a lot of noises which is involved. So it is really hard to make that kind of a small measurement. So, and both of our projects were focused on this thing called short noise. So it is something of quantum origin, and it is because we are using lasers to detect gravitational waves. There is this thing called short noise, which we cannot bypass. But then we have also found a way to actually bypass this thing, which is known as quantum squeezing, by which we can kind of go below the standard quantum limit and actually make the measurements that we want to make. So both of our projects were based on quantum squeezing. In my case, specifically what I did was, now LIGO has a particular quantum squeezer which they use to reduce the short noise. But it is very complicated. There are many optical cavities involved. There are many complexities involved in that. So our aim was to actually make this big thing into a very small and very simple thing, a very elegant thing, which we call it as WOPA. It uses waveguides instead of optical cavities. So that's the main difference. So we were trying to develop that and characterize that. So that was basically what my project was based on, and my project was a particular part to construct this thing called WOPA. So that was my project, and coming to Adam's case, it was actually like alignment control of the squeezing circuit. So since we're making we want to measure it precisely. So even if you have all the optical elements of the squeezer there, and even if you move the mirrors by, I don't know, a picometer or something, then your measurements get affected. You won't be able to log the interferometer, and you won't be able to make the measurement. So his project was mostly on aligning these things and using optical simulations to understand how to perfectly do that and things like that. So there are many complex electromechanical systems which he trained on this machine learning and reinforcement learning algorithms and things like that to obtain such a good measurement that we want to.
That's great. Can you share some common mistakes students should avoid when applying for internships?
Two of the common mistakes I would say is like most people like to make the CV look full, like what most people do is like they write a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff they may be expert, they have expertise in. Some of the stuff they only know a little about. Some of the stuff they don't even know about. But to make the CV look cool or make the CV kind of look full, people write a lot of stuff. The thing you need to understand is like most of these programs or many programs have some kind of interviews or things like that. So if you write things on the CV that you have completely no idea about, so completely no experience in, if they ask questions on that and you're not able to answer it well, it will give you a really bad impression. And the other thing is many of these programs, many of this internship program, they specifically have SOP. So you need to submit an SOP, statement of purpose. So with the coming of ChatGPT and other AIs, what people do is they will just write whatever stuff that ChatGPT is. So it will really give a bad impression. So most of these applications and everything, they go through rigorous checking and they go through AI detectors and plagiarism detectors. So if you completely use these kinds of A's for writing this stuff, it will also give a bad impression. And I mean, these are the common mistakes people should not make while, I mean, during the application process, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you have anything to add?
No, I think that was
Yeah.
most of it. Just be sure on what you're telling them, because there's a good chance of them checking on whatever you told them that
Exactly.
you are good at. So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Next question we have: how important are research paper or projects when applying for top institute or for internships like MIT and Caltech?
yeah, so first of all, the internships that we apply to are undergraduate internships, right? So even if we don't have a publication, it is, I mean, it's kind of okay for them. But like when I applied, I did not have any papers, and I think Adam didn't have any papers published on our names when we applied for those internships, and I don't think that's a very good criteria that they look for. But if you're able to get a paper even at an undergraduate level, then obviously it's a good thing. It shows that you are in one of a good in a good position, in a good standing than others. But the chances of that, especially in physics, as far as I understand, is quite less. So even if you don't have a paper, it's not like you cannot apply to that internships and your chances are zero or anything like that. So that's one thing. But the fact that you have previously done a project on something similar really is a good thing.
Yeah.
So especially for programs that are very competitive, they not only look at your GPA, so they also want to know how good you are at solving similar problems that they want to give you. So having done a previous project on something similar is always a good thing. And firstly, so for my case, as I said, all the courses that I've taken here and the work that I've done here at IISER TVM is not related to gravitational waves explicitly, but I think my chances for getting into this particular LIGO program increased because of the previous internship that I did as part of the DAD Wise Fellowship. So that was also in gravitational wave detection instrumentation specifically. So that actually made a good impact on my application. And one other thing which you would get when you do a previous when you have done a project already is that you have an extra recommender for you. So you can ask for a letter of recommendation for them while applying for something new. So in my case, my professor at Caltech knew the person with whom I previously worked with, because they are in the same community. So that actually, so when they say that he is a good student, or he knows this stuff, he is good at doing these particular things, then they take that word seriously. So that's another thing which gives you, like, makes you stand out by doing a previous internship or a previous project.
Also, if the previous project is not similar to the one you have done, you still might have. Because in my case, I have not done anything related to gravitational wave physics. Most of my previous internship was related to astrophysics or something like that. So mostly what they are looking for is transferable skills. If you have done some previous internships and the skills you gain from that is applicable in this area, then you're good to go. So the previous internship I was did with I was at Caltech. It was an online internship. It was on a project called SCDMV2. So it also involved a lot of machine learning and stuff like that. So that was a transferable skill I learned there. So even if you don't have experience in the same realm, but you have done previous experiences on other topics with good transferable skills, that's also a good thing. Yeah.
That's great. What is the ideal time to applying for summer internship?
The ideal time I would say is you can start looking for summer internships by August. I think many of the applications start during August, September, and some go till late October, November. So the time frame you need to start looking is August. So I think that's the time when a couple of the internship programs usually start, and they might have the application deadlines till October, November. So the ideal time would be to start from early or mid August to late October, I guess. That's the usual time, I guess. And do you think any other?
Yeah, so basically, I would say that just look at those programs which apply to you, which you are interested in, and like do that early. Just figure out what you want to do, or which programs or which institutes you want to apply to, and then check their deadlines as soon as possible. Because it is very disheartening to actually miss the deadline. So it is very good if you actually look at those particular programs and have those deadlines in your mind and start working towards the application as soon as possible. So as you said, like August, October is the very good time to actually do that.
So even if you're not applying for a program, you're just emailing a browser. I think August, September would be a really nice time to do that. Yeah.
Great. How did this internship influence your career goals?
In a sense, like I told, like previously I had zero experience with this gravitational wave physics. And most of my projects were related to gamma ray burst or something in astrophysics. So the thing is, once I started doing this gravitational wave project, even though I was more into this electromagnetic counterparts of gravitational wave physics. Once I started doing this, I was really interested in this instrumentation part and LLMs. Because even most of my work was revolving around building optical simulations for some of the components of LIGO. So I was really interested in something called as large language models. As you know, ChatGPT or other AIs are actually large language models. So I think after this summer internship, I was really interested in two things. One is gravitational wave instrumentation and this large language models. I think in a way it has influenced or changed my career goal from gamma ray burst to this gravitational wave physics and LLMs. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I would like to add is that for people who want to stay in academia or who want to complete their BSMS or their masters and go into PhDs, so the projects that we did in the institutes that we were in, so it is basically a kind of, we can think of it as a trailer of your research life.
Exactly.
So the 2 months that you spend, it just shows you what doing a project entitles in itself. So you would understand what are the skills that you need, or what are the things that you would have to do in your life. If you're continuing in research, you would have to give presentations, you have to give talks, you have to do this kind of a thing, and you will get basically a good idea. So what these internships does to you is that it gives you a good clarity of what a life of a research person is. So that was something which will orient you towards your career goals.
Yes.
And the other thing which I would like to say is like the chance that I got to talk to people, connect with other interns and stuff, and like hearing their opinions on things just orients us to think differently, to have a different take on things. So just it also gives us a clarity on how we are looking at our career, and if we don't want to do it, then we'll immediately understand, okay, this is not what I would like to do. I would like to do something different. And if you have that interest in you to do research, then it will again enhance that particular idea. So yeah, that's what I would like to see.
Like even if you think that this topic I'm interested in, but I am not sure if it's a good fit for me, this end summer internships and vendor internships are the right way to test if it's a right fit for you.
Yeah.
Because previously, like I said again and again, I had no experience in gravitational physics, and I was not really a fan of instrumentation. But after this, I became a total fan of instrumentation.
Yeah.
So these summer internships and vendor internships are a way to test or check if this topic or this is something interesting you, if it's a good fit or not. Yeah.
Great. What advice would you give to current IISER TVM student looking for internships?
Yeah, so I would say that first of all, if you're in your first year, if you have just entered IISERTVM, then I would say that the initial thing to do is like what everyone says: just take your courses seriously and do your assignments and stuff by yourself. And that's what I would say to the first years. But after you get to a point where you know that okay, you want to do research, then the first thing is to understand what you like. So it's not as easy as it sounds. There are many things. Even in physics, there are a hell lot of things which you can go into. So to basically understand what you want to do would be a very basic and very first step that you can do. And when you do that, if you want to do such internships and if you want to stay in research and things like that, then what I would suggest is, and once you have already identified the thing that you like, the particular field of physics that you like, try to search for professors or people who are working in that field. Just see, like, first of all, see who is working in that field in our home institutes, in our own institutes. See so who all are working in this field in other institutes, let it be in other very good places in India or abroad, and you can see, and you may be in a position to actually approach them to tell them that you are interested in such and such field in physics, and that's how you draft your emails and you send them. You make your CVs, you send them, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll get accepted.
Both of us started our internships at IISER.
Yeah. Okay, next question we have. Did your GPA play a significant role in securing this internship?
In both our cases, no. In his case, they asked for the GPA, but they didn't ask for the transcript. In my case, they didn't ask for the GPA, but they asked for the transcript. So I don't think they were really looking for the GPA because they didn't have any GPA criteria. To them, it was more like what all previous experiences this person had, or how he is a researcher than how he is a student. Like they were more focused on the research part than the student part, I guess. But there are a couple of other internships, and for example, I guess Leiden and some other internships where they were specifically looking for a GPA criteria. So some internships might have a GPA criteria, but in our case, we both didn't have any kind of GPA criteria. And in my case, they didn't ask the GPA, but later after I got accepted, I had to submit my transcript. In my case, he just had to give us GPA, but they didn't ask for the transcript. So I don't think GPA played an important role in our cases, but in some other internships, they might. So always try to maintain a decent GPA. But in many other internships like this, the top schools or many other schools are not actually looking at your GPA, but they are rather looking at the previous research experiences you had and what all projects you were working on and things like that.
Great. What are some important lessons you learned during your internships?
Yeah, so if you ask about important lessons, then first thing is to actually do research in such places. You'll get a good idea of, what all a research position entitles in itself. So, as I said, the courses that I've taken here are not really related to what I did, but this gave me a good understanding of many other aspects of physics, like nonlinear optics, quantum squeezing, which I didn't know that there are such things happening. And Yeah, and I also was able to work with all these optical elements and things like that, which I really enjoyed, which I didn't think that I would enjoy that much, but I really enjoyed working in electronics, making this control loops and working in control systems, control theory. So all those things I did not have much exposure before. But because I went to this internships, I was able to learn these things. And also for in my case, there were many LIGO lectures which were given to basically make the students. This was given for all the interns that were there. So this was basically to make the students understand like the history of how all these things happened and the science of LIGO itself. So not related to the exact project that I did, but in an overall sense, how do they make detections and how does this interferometer work and things like that. So that also helped me to learn a lot about LIGO and to give me a good understanding of the importance of this $1 billion project that they're doing.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I said, in this $1 billion project, there is a lot of physics happening. A lot of different areas of physics is happening. A lot of optical related works are happening. A lot of mechanical related work. So the work we were doing is just a tiny portion of the entire work happening in LIGO.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to learn about this field. It's a vast field. A lot of funding is there. It's one of the biggest projects in the. So in the tiny portion itself, there were a lot of things we were able to learn. So the experience we gained from working in a project like this, the people we met, the knowledge they already had, so interacting with them, that all were a great lesson for us, I would say. Yeah.
And also, like as I said before, I had to write a lot of reports and we had to give presentations. So it's not just your research quality which is getting enhanced, it is all those other soft skills like research writing and like communicating scientifically to people. And we are involved in many meetings, many journal club meetings. So all of these things really helped us. And yeah, it was a really nice experience because of all these lessons that we learned. It's not just the research or it's not just the physics, it is all those other things which comes with it,
Exactly.
which makes it a great experience.
Yeah. Wow. Perfect. So we have a last question. And what
Okay.
advice would you like to give future interns on managing stress and time? And also, I would like to mention if you have any like contact details yours, which you like to mention for students who want to connect with you. So LinkedIn or Instagram, or if you have any websites, so please share with us.
Sure. So, yeah, for internships and stuff, I would like to say that the one important thing that any new student in IISER TVM can do is to talk to people. So, if, for example, if they're interested in gravitational wave research in particular, I mean, they can talk to us directly and we would be able to guide them in the application process and things like that because we have done the same with our seniors. We talk to them and then we get. So even if you ask any of your seniors, if you ask us about biology, maybe we don't be able to help you with that, but like we are sure that we would be able to guide you to people who are good at it.
Yeah.
So make use of all these people that you have and talk to professors and who you're interested in. And yeah, that's the one of the things which I would like to say. Adam, you want to add anything on it?
So, like you said, that's one of the most important things. Even before when we starting, we made a lot of mistakes in writing CVs or SAPs. So we went to a lot of people who had prior experience in this. So talk to people. That's the one most important thing you can do right now. Read a lot. You can talk to many people as you can. Right now, we are here in the campus, so you can come and talk to us. So as for contact details, I think we both have a LinkedIn profile. You can text us on the LinkedIn, and I think I have a website. If you type my name on Google, you can get that. So make use of the people and make use of IISER because you are at one of the really good research institutes in India. So make use of the people at IISER, make use of the resources at IISER, talk to professors and talk to other PhD students. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and like I would like to add that we are basically on the same boat.
Yes.
It's not like our application giving days are over. So we are also trying to acquire PhDs and so at some places. So we are also trying to improve ourselves. We are also talking to people. We are also contacting our seniors for all the helps. And so we are basically on the same boat. We are also learning. So yeah, so just make use of that opportunity. That would be a good thing.
That was an incredible discussion. A big thanks to Adam and Jacob for sharing their valuable insights and experiences.
And thank you so much for having us and giving us this opportunity as well.
I hope this helps those of you who are aiming for similar opportunities. If you have any questions or want to hear more from our seniors, feel free to leave a comment below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting content. See you all the next video. Bye.